paranormal. It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations. All in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted. And I have got a new guest here, one we just got together over the internet recently, but the guy's got some interesting stuff. I can't wait for you to see it. His name's Jeremy York, and he is the founder of Things. Now, what do you wonder? What kind of things? Well, I'll tell you what. He is the founder of the Hoosiers Investigating New Ghost Society. And started out as a ghost hunting group, doing really, really good. And now he has grown so much that he has teams, part of the Things Network, in 7 states and 3 countries, including the UK and the Netherlands. Think about that. There are people following his lead and doing ghost hunting in 3 countries and 7 states. That's doing pretty good. It's also got multiple podcasts with his unit, his group Things, including The 13th Dimension, including Supernatural Talk, Paranormal Nation, Insane Asylum. Don't know what that is, but I hope to find out. And there's a lot more. So he is really busy, but he squeezed a little time out of here to talk to us. So let me introduce you to Jeremy York. All right, brother. You and I talked a little bit before the show, and that's some pretty incredible stuff you've managed.
It's been a ride. I'll tell you that. All of these shows that I had given you, I'm only a host on 3 of them.
Okay.
All the others, like Paranormal Nation Radio, that belongs to Carl Alberson. Insane Asylum, that is Joe. People call him Insane Joe. And he'll tell you himself, when you look at a picture of him, mm-hmm. He is a spitting image of Charles Manson.
Okay.
But he can be the nicest guy. He runs Things of Wisconsin. So, and that's just the name of his show. He also has like a little production company thing that he made up called Utterly Insane.
Okay.
Productions. But yeah, we have grown so much. I never thought that it would get to where we're at now.
Wow. Well, you guys are doing amazing work. So is there a place, a website or something where people can find all these shows listed and get information about it?
For the shows, all they have to do is look up Things Network on Facebook and YouTube. On YouTube, they have to do a filter for the channel itself. Because when you look up Things Network, there's another channel that's got that name as well. It's called Things Network, only we are Things Network.
Okay.
But you definitely have to go through the filter and select channels. Otherwise, it will not come up.
And what else? You said it was on YouTube. Where else can they find it?
On Facebook. Just type in Things Network on Facebook. Look it up on LinkedIn. Not all the shows are there, but only the shows that are able to go live are on there. I just haven't the time to upload all of the shows onto LinkedIn.
I got you.
Well,
sounds like you're pretty busy trying to run this much stuff.
Yes. It's like a full-time job.
Well, let's just take Insane Asylum. What is the basis of that show? What's it about?
anything paranormal.
Okay.
That's Joe's baby. He just changed co-host last week. Literally just changed co-host. So I'm not sure what direction he's going to go with it. Nick Muley, I think, is going to be his new co-host, and Nick is already a part of 5 other shows.
Okay.
He is probably, podcast-wise, he is probably the most busiest of all of us in things.
Okay, tell me about the 13th Dimension. What is that? Just a paranormal related talk show also?
That one, it started out that way. That started 5 years ago with myself, Scott Wilson, Tim Kohler, Crystal Kohler. And it was the 4 of us. We were actually on a different network. And I was invited to bring on a show, even though I had never done a podcast, never been a host. I've been a guest a couple of times, but had never been a host, even though for a year prior to that, Scott and I had been planning because he'd been wanting to do a show with me.
Okay.
And we finally settled down on the name 13th Dimension because it just sounded cool. And we did it for a year on that network, and then we split off from them and created Themes Network.
Okay.
We started off with 25 shows right from the get-go. And 13th Dimension, what we did is we brought people in, much like how you're doing. We brought people in, talk to them, find out their stories, and then a lot of things happened. At the start of the second season, I got hurt really bad, where I had to take several months off, and then Scott got sick, and Tim got hurt, Crystal got sick, and it eventually got to where those 3 had to retire, more or less. I came back when I was able to. The others, every now and then, still have issues. So the 13th Dimension right now is just me, but we are working towards getting them to come back. I actually just celebrated 100 episodes with that a couple months ago, and everybody was in. So at one time with the 13th Dimension, what I did was I wanted to go in a different direction for 1 year and be in the paranormal people, but talk about anything but the paranormal. I wanted to find out who they were behind the paranormal persona that we all see. So one of them, she was telling me all about her work in theater. Another, he is very big into British television. So we spent almost 4 hours talking about Doctor Who, which is his specialty.
After Peter Davison, I gave it up. So yeah, okay.
So yeah, I had a blast doing that because that gave me a chance to really get to know the people and not just, okay, where's your favorite location? What's your favorite equipment? I hate those questions. Okay, what makes you you? And that limited series went over real well.
Okay.
Because it not only gave me a chance to get to know who these people are, it gave the audience a chance to know who they were. So now 13th Dimension is not a weekly show like it was. It's basically a whenever I feel like it show. I've done 10 episodes in 2025 so far. So I'm
that's
doing decent with it.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All right.
The show that I do now that's always on a weekly basis is Supernatural Talk. And there are 4 of us, Nick Millet, who is leader of Things of Illinois, Adrian Clayton, who is leader of Things of Colorado,
Mhm.
and Eileen Jones, who is actually not a member of Things, but she does have her own team. But the four of us have such a chemistry that is wonderful.
Okay.
And we actually have a show coming in 2 hours because that's our Thursday night show.
Okay. Yeah.
Eileen had not been able to do the show very much because of her job. She worked in management for an apartment complex, and she was just telling us about 2 hours ago that she was not going to be able to be on because she's working at a different location from where she's at.
Okay.
So there's that. But with all the shows that we got, it is so wonderful. We've got a nice built-in following. Every show has its dedicated audience,
Mm-hmm.
which is really nice. And then we do have a few people that come in and at least comment on every show. Or they try.
That helps. That always helps.
Yeah, it does help.
So, all right. Well, sounds like you're busy enough then.
That's one way of putting it.
But you're still ghost hunting too, right?
I do. Haven't done as much here in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually invited to do one tomorrow night, and I don't know why. I was thinking today was Friday, and when she messaged me about tomorrow night, it was Saturday night. No, I got something going on Saturday night, but then once I realized, oh no, today's only Thursday. No, I'm still busy tomorrow night. No, I have actually only done 5 or 6 investigations in the last 2 years.
Okay.
I have been just so busy with everything else that the investigations part has kind of taken a back step for me.
I understand.
Which I'm okay with because I have been to so many different places and several of them multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to take that little bit of break, take a breather, because you don't get tired of seeing the same place over and over because there's a couple of them I go to every week if I could.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, there's in the paranormal field in general, there's just a lot of petty drama going on.
Yeah, I'd hope that would slow down when people stop thinking they're going to get their own TV shows, but apparently it hasn't.
No, it has not. In fact, I was just I saw 2 posts today about apparently somebody is bad-mouthing somebody here in my town. And I haven't seen it, but it doesn't surprise me because somebody is bad-mouthing somebody everywhere.
Yeah. I've been noticing that more and more lately.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
Stay in my own little cubby hole, do my own thing, and find that it's a little more peaceful that way.
Jeremy, do you notice when I first got into this, which was, again, way back, it wasn't so bad because there were so few doing it. But now you get people who claim that these are my ghosts. You can't do anything in this block or this town or this county. This is mine. And that just, how do you own a ghost? It just aggravates the heck out of me.
It's about the same as somebody telling you, no, you're supposed to believe in this politician or in this religion because what you believe in is wrong. It's on the same level as that.
Yeah.
And I have seen situations of that where people are playing gatekeepers with locations.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard it. I've never experienced it myself, but I'm not the kind of guy that's going to put up with it. If I'm going somewhere and somebody says, "Hey, you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that,"
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can. I reserve the night.
Right.
You're not going to stop me from going there. But I'm also not the kind of person that's going to be going and doing stupid stuff either.
Well, right. And I think that's a given for as far as you've gotten here. But why would somebody try to tell you you can't rent the Illinois State Asylum for the incurably insane or whatever what it might be?
Yeah, like I said, nobody has done that to me.
Okay.
But I do know people that has had that happen, and they said the same thing. I reserved it, so I've got the right to be there.
Absolutely.
Why would you try to stop me?
And why do they? Is it jealousy? Are they thinking they're going to make more money off of this? What's the root cause?
I think that's actually that might be one of the reasons, because one of these locations is actually in Mississippi,
mm-hmm.
and it had gotten to the point where there's one guy. He only came in as an investigator, and somehow he worked it in such a way so that nothing happens with the house or inside the house without his say so. And the owner went along with it.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Yeah, because I got the full story on that a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I drove through Mississippi on my way to Louisiana for the bowling tournament that I was telling you about that I go to Nevada to all the time.
Yeah.
This year, the tournament took me to Baton Rouge, which is always a fun place to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I had known about this location, seen clips, talked to people who have been there. And this year, when I actually drove by the location, I was given the full story, and this guy had worked his way into being the gatekeeper for it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all I would say it's more of an ego thing.
Yes.
And money. But I just can't imagine somebody doing that unless you actually own the place.
Yeah, if they owned it, or they were named by the house as our house investigator, fine, that's the owner's choice.
Right.
But I have seen these people get angry because another ghost hunting group wants to do their own tours. Well, if they've got their own stories, why not?
Yeah.
But they get angry and so prideful. I think pride, you might be a major part of it. You might be right.
Pride is another thing, definitely. If you want to go into the sins, I would dare say you could consider this gluttony.
Yeah, I can see your point.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, that's a topic I wasn't expecting, but I'm glad we hit it. That was pretty interesting.
Oh, you never know what. I don't even know what stories I'll come up with until it comes out of my mouth.
Well, let's talk about the video you sent, because I think that's pretty interesting too. Tell you what, let me go ahead and play it, and then we'll talk about it. We'll play it again a time or two.
Okay.
So, what's the story behind this one?
The story behind this one, this is actually in my neighborhood. The guy sitting in the chair, I worked with him at the factory where I got hurt. Different departments, but we knew each other, and the lady that was renting this house, they had become friends, and she was having, I don't remember the specifics, but she was having experiences. Her son was having experiences, and he was only, I think, 6 at the time.
Okay.
So, so anything involving young kids,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to jump right to the front of the line.
Right.
And what was very convenient for me is for my car, it takes me 2 minutes to get to that house, which not many investigators have the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular camera was on the kitchen counter facing the back door, because she was having something happening at the back door. I don't,
Okay.
and I don't remember. This is from back in 2016, so 9 years ago. At some point during the night, the guy was just sitting there at the table, and he's watching the monitor. So when you see a flash on the walls and everything, that's actually coming from the monitor.
Okay.
But that doesn't explain the little white mass and the big black mass that came from behind his back.
Okay. So where was the white mass? Where did we look?
The white mass would be about here.
Okay.
On him. The black mass is where the bottom of his back and the back of the chair meet.
Okay.
That's a lot more noticeable. The white mass comes out right before the black one does.
All right. Let's play it again. So it looks like just like something's pushing his shirt, or something's pushing away from him right there at the white mass.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, the little black thing comes out.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And people have asked me about, okay, could it have been somebody's shoe? There wasn't anybody sitting there, I don't think.
Okay.
Asked me about pets. And I said, if it was anything, it would have shown up as gray as the rest of everything else.
True. That's true. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, this is solid black.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's run it again.
Yeah. So you can see the glare in front of his face. That's from the monitor.
And then that white thing comes up and down right behind his head.
Right there.
And then the black thing.
Yeah.
Now, it came out, but it did not go past the chair.
Exactly. That was the first thing I noticed. It did not go past that arm, because you can see in between the two the two sides of the chair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it doesn't go past that, which is what I'm fine. Yeah, it doesn't go past the one whatever back base of it. So
it's like it knew exactly where it needed to stop.
Yes, that's wild. What did you discover there? Aside from this evidence, was there any other things you found there?
No, that was it. Anything else that came up was orbs, and I don't do orbs.
Okay.
Because I see 1,000 of them.
Sure.
In every video, but that was the only thing there that. Whoa, what was that?
That was pretty wild. I've dealt with black masses a couple of times, but never that small and controlled. They come down like curtains on us a couple of times, two different places.
I actually had not me, but Nick.
Uh-huh.
He actually caught something like that on his camera. No, my camera. I think he was using my camera. And something had come down and completely covered a person's head.
Yeah. Okay. That's happened to us. And I don't know how to explain that. I don't know what it is.
No,
But
we even tried to recreate it because there was the RI light right there on the
Mhm.
camera, and tried to do the little finger thing.
right.
Not recreate it anywhere near like how that
So
was.
okay. Well, listen. Hold on just a minute, Jeremy, because I have to slide away for a couple of business things, and I'll be right back with you. So stick with me, all right, bud?
All right.
Guys, I've told you before that twice. It's always been Tim Clifton and I, and once it was at the Enoch's Knob Bridge, and once it was over at General Harney's mansion. But this black curtain come down, and people around the room could still see both of us. We could not see each other. We were within arm's length, and just seeing these shadows, these pure black things, is so amazing. I don't want to say it's scary. It really isn't. It's just something I don't understand yet. So if any of y'all have some ideas about that, please enter the comments and let me know. Maybe you'll have some idea that'll set me off in the right direction. And speaking of going into the right direction, I want you to watch this. We'll be right back.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to research a haunted house can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. The Unex Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unex Network website at unexnetwork.com. That's unexnetwork.com. Don't miss the supernatural event of 2025, the biggest, best, and original ghost conference in America returns June the 26th through the 29th in Alton, Illinois. The Haunted America Conference returns to one of the most haunted small towns in all of America for our 28th annual event. Join us for new and returning speakers on ghosts, hauntings, the paranormal, and the unexplained. Plus, how-to workshops, question and answer sessions, special events, haunted tours, and much more. The Haunted America Conference is always the most fun you'll have at a paranormal event. We look forward to seeing you in June 2025. You won't be sorry that you've come to help us celebrate 28 years. Visit ghostconference.net to register today. That's ghostconference.net.
All right, friends, we'll talk more about the Unex Network towards the end of the show, but I want to get back to Jeremy because we're having some, well, like I said, this conversation's kind of going in directions I wasn't expecting, but I do love it that way. So let's bring Jeremy back on.
That's
right.
That's how I roll.
Hey, I like it. So after that one, did you ever get called back there, or was you ever able to say, we don't think the place is really haunted? What was your conclusion there?
One of my guys had gone back there about maybe a month after we were there.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a basic cleansing. Read a few verses out of the Bible, and just kind of said, "Please leave."
Okay.
Not long after that, she moved out. And
Okay.
well, she was only renting the house. So that more or less ended our investigations there. Because I did go back and run additional cameras.
Okay.
Right before she did, but she wanted me to run cameras for a different reason, more security than paranormal. Because when she was working, she was having a babysitter there, and she had certain suspicions.
Okay.
Called me up. Okay, yeah, I'll put cameras up, and I ran cameras for like 5 straight days.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing was ever truly settled there because she moved out of there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
within months.
Indiana, you're the area around where you're at. What kind of places have you been to? What kind of adventures have you had there?
My favorite location is the Old Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana.
Okay.
And this is the jail that John Dillinger escaped from before he was killed. Our team is actually due back there at the end of next month.
Oh, wow.
It'll be the first time in 2 years because they were shut down last year due to codes and things like that.
Okay.
City hadn't been very kind to them. And finally, start back up. Because some cities don't support historical landmarks, and that jail is registered.
Okay.
And the big fear was that even though it is on the registry, they're going to try to find an excuse to tear it down.
Okay. Yeah. Not
happening now. So we're going back there at the end of next month. Really looking forward to that because one of our newer team members had never been on an investigation before, and she is a member of the Illinois chapter. So she's hoping to be able to go with us and get broke in.
So what kind of evidence have you had there before?
Well, one of them, I actually just pulled it up when I was telling you about the shadow coming down.
Yeah.
I actually just pulled it up here on the computer. It never even crossed my mind when I was sending this stuff to you earlier. If I'm going to share it with you.
If you can, sure. All right, I'm going to bring it up.
So these people right here are volunteers of the jail. This is at the Crown Point Jail, and these two are volunteers. Earl, Denise, and I'll play it right here, and you're going to see something up here coming down and covering his whole head.
All right.
In fact, there it is right there.
Whoa! Yeah.
Now, there is another guy off over here. He's got his own camera facing them. He did not catch anything on his camera.
Can she still see him? Has she noticed this during this time?
No, nobody knows anything about this except for Nick. He's the one that's holding this camera.
Okay.
And he's watching this as this happened, and he is trying his hardest to contain himself, keep the camera sturdy. But when they were done, come back down to the main floor. He's like, "Oh, you have got to see what just happened." They didn't do that.
can you go back a little bit? I was listening to you and not watching when it left him. Okay.
And you'll see it slowly going back up.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It was.
And one of the ones I had was similar with still photos they took at the time. You could not see part of my friend's face. It's exactly like that, but I couldn't see any of him.
Yeah. They did not know anything about this. Don, who was operating the other camera, did not know anything about it. It was just Nick.
Wow.
And he did such a wonderful job to not go, oh. Because I know some people would have been doing that. But that was another one of the greatest captures that thing had ever caught.
That's unbelievable right there, Jeremy. That's incredible. So, do you think this shadow we see come up and down, or this curtain of black, is that related to shadow people, or do you think this is a different phenomenon?
Probably a different phenomena, because shadow people, you can almost always tell some kind of a form to it.
Yes.
This one here looked more like a blob.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how I would categorize that.
It didn't have the distinct images of the first one you showed.
Right.
That one had a distinct edge.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, this reminds me so much of the 2 times that I have seen these shadow curtains come down. It's almost startling.
It's almost like a veil.
I stick to the term curtain. And at one point, it was so big, it covered the entire bridge we were on. I could not see the people on the other side of the bridge, although you could see the stars above us. And they could not see me on the other end, on my end of the bridge.
That's big.
It was, yeah, that was really huge. But this thing here just covering the face and stopping, that's wild.
That's almost concerning.
There was a lot of stuff in that area. I haven't been back there in several years, but we had a lot of adventures on that place.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, shadow people coming out and coming towards us in like mass groups. Gosh, there was one ghost who died on the bridge. He fell off into the water below when he tried to climb it. He was a practical joker. He loved to play tricks, but on the same bridge on the other side from where that boy died, a man was shot to death, and then his body burned in a drug deal that went bad. So his ghost is on one side, this one's on the other. It's pretty wild. There's a lot of other stuff out there too.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, but no, that curtain coming down, or veil coming down just over his head, you can still see part of his neck.
Yeah.
Just, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's like it was pinpointing where it wanted to go.
Yes.
And then decide, okay, I've had enough fun, I'm going back up.
So this was in an old jail, which I have investigated. I'm an ex-cop, so I've investigated a lot of jails. Tell me about this jail.
This jail here is Crown Point Jail. A lot of work had been done to this place, and when they started opening up for investigations, which is long before I ever went there, it was a lot like how Waverly Hills was when they first started opening up.
Okay.
Barely a walk path anywhere. No electricity, no nothing. But at Crown Point, they have been doing a lot of work. They have restored most, if not all, by now, the sheriff's house, which is at the front of the jail, because the sheriff lived there with his family, and then you go through a door, and that takes you right into the jail area where they book, and then 3 floors of cells.
Okay.
And it's like every time we go there, something happens.
Okay.
One time I had a team member, he was doing a spirit box session, and he was outside in I don't know what direction he was going, but he decided to go, Jesus Christ compels you.
Wow.
And he told me that the response he got out of the spirit box was, that don't work here, boy.
Okay. That tells me it's a human spirit, at least.
Yeah. And the same guy also got propositioned twice to meet up with somebody up on the 2nd floor. And he went up there twice and got stood up both times.
Well, that's intriguing.
It is intriguing.
Now, is that Crown Point? Is that the name of the town it's in?
Yes, Crown Point, Indiana.
And was it a county jail at one time or a city jail?
Old Lake County Jail.
Okay.
Yeah, they built a new jail. Oh boy, I don't even remember where the new jail is at. It's real close. It's real close. But this jail is part museum.
Mm-hmm.
And tours, they do day tours during the weekend and investigations on Saturday nights, Friday nights.
Okay.
They do car shows sometimes. One time they actually had one of the vehicles that John Dillinger drove.
Okay.
There, Josh Gates was there during one of the car shows. So having Josh Gates there, to me, that was a big thing.
Oh, absolutely, sure. So tell me about the jail, though. Was it a jail for like a decade, a century?
The jail itself was built in the 1860s.
Okay.
I think, and it started out with, I think, 10 cells. Mm-hmm. And then it got bigger and it got bigger. They've added on to it 3 or 4 times. So there's another apartment behind the jail that's connected, but it is in such bad shape that it's not even safe to go into anymore.
Okay.
So nobody goes in there. But the jail itself is really, really cool. They actually filmed there for a Johnny Depp movie.
Okay. All right.
The name of the movie escapes me right now, but this movie put that jail on the map.
Okay.
It was one of the old cop movies.
I was in the Ohio State Reformatory where they filmed several movies. Missouri State Penitentiary where they filmed some.
I've been to OSR. That was one of my favorite places to go to.
That was an interesting place. A lot of neat stuff going on there.
Well, what's funny about that is I had trail cameras set out all over the place, and I caught one thing very interesting the whole night that we were there on one camera. And I showed this to several members of the crew that went and said, did you see this thing? Mm-hmm. The whole time we were there? No. But yet my camera caught it.
Wow.
My camera caught a raccoon. It was just walking down the main corridor there on the first floor of the east section, the east block. Mm-hmm. And there were people in that area at this time, but not one person saw a raccoon the whole night.
I'll be darned. That's cool.
And it's weird because that's real close to where we were all set up there in the kitchen with the long tables. We had open pizza
I was going to say, it's smelling the food, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was walking away from there.
Too many people, I suppose.
Well, we were all spread out.
Okay.
We were all spread out. There were times where it's like, did this person leave? I hadn't seen him all night. But holy cow, I never thought that jail would be that big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an incredible place. You should try out the Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City. At one point, it was 47 acres.
Ooh, that's big.
Yeah, had some big riots and a lot of deaths in there. It's an interesting place to check out.
Is it one building or multiple?
No, it's multiple buildings, but I think they've only got 2, maybe 3. They've torn down some that were just not standing very well, that were dangerous.
Okay.
But A Hall is in really good shape, and a couple of the other buildings are in really good shape, including where they did the gas chamber.
Ooh.
They got original seats there. They've got pictures of everyone who was killed in there, and they've got the original seats where the pellets were dropped in.
I'd seen that. Not the Missouri one, but there was one in just outside of Canyon City, Colorado. The big prison that they had there. They turned it completely into a museum, and outside they had moved the entire gas chamber out there, and all around the thing you can go in and see pictures and stories of all the people that were gassed in there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But at the same time, it's surreal.
Jeremy, where's one place you're just dying to go to?
St. Augustine Lighthouse.
I was there 2 years ago for the first time. Yeah.
That is number one on my bucket list right now.
I took a full moon tour of the place. There was a few people standing around in the souvenir shop waiting for the tour to start. There was a rack of stuffed animals, and I was standing out of the way around it, but I was 5 feet away from it. My wife was with me, and suddenly one of these dolls just got knocked off and flew in between us and hit the wall. Wow. So yeah, the place definitely has some spirits. I didn't get anything else that night, but it's definitely an interesting place.
After seeing that episode on Ghost Hunters, when they went to the lighthouse,
yeah,
that was the turning point for me that got me into really wanting to do this.
Okay.
It was just amazing seeing that.
That was, absolutely one of the best evidentiary films they ever got. That was just no way of saying what that was.
Yeah, that was probably my all-time favorite episode, followed very closely by the Waverly Hills episode and then Stanley Hotel. Okay. Ironically, all 3 of them in the second season.
Yeah, that's when it was still good.
Yes.
It got a little hard to believe there a few times after that.
I say their best years was 1, 2, and 3.
And
then 4 was when it started to become more public locations and fewer residentials.
Yes. Yeah, I'll give you that one. All right. So what's your next adventures at this Crown Point jail?
It's at the end of next month.
Okay.
And it's actually on one of my guys' birthday. So we're going to have a nice little jailbird party.
And people can watch this live?
No, the investigation itself won't be live. I am not a big fan of doing lives while we're doing an investigation. Now, with Crown Point, we probably will because we've been there. Well, I have been there 20 times.
All right.
But normally, if I'm going somewhere else, like if I'm going somewhere else for the first time, I'm not going to go live. I want to focus and get to know the building.
Okay, sure.
If I'm doing a residential, absolutely not will I even think about going live,
Mm-hmm.
because the focus needs to be on the family.
Absolutely, sure.
But usually I get into a zone and I don't even think about going live. I don't think about other people seeing what I'm experiencing or not experiencing. But at the same time, at that jail, when you get so far, because it's all brick and mortar, the signal starts cutting.
Okay.
So if you go live, you can really only stay like in the front part of the jail. Otherwise,
Gotcha.
it's going to start freezing on you and all of that.
Jeremy, I hate to end this conversation because it's been a lot of fun, but I do have to move on. So thanks for being a guest, and people can find you again on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and several other places, right?
Yep. All they got to do is punch in Things Network, but there is another Things Network out there. Yeah, forget about them.
Okay. Well, they'll know your face, I'm sure.
Well, I don't put my face out there. I like Things Network to stand on its own.
Okay.
I don't want it to be up and running because of me. I want it to be its own entity.
But you also have the podcasts all on there.
Yep.
And there's what'd you say? There was like 25 of them there?
Somewhere around there. I've lost count.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if we can get people to check that one out too. And thanks again for being a guest, Jeremy. Your stories have been great.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I hope we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Just let me know.
Hey, we'll do it. Have a good night. Take care. Well, that was interesting. You know, we hit some places again. We didn't even talk about where we was going with this, and suddenly we're in jails and in shadow stuff that we both had dealt with. So that was a really good conversation. I'm pretty happy with this one. I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I've read his stuff. We chatted a little bit online, but I'm very impressed with Jeremy and with Things Network. Friends, I got to tell you about our own UNX network, though, because we got things going on there as well. You can become a member by getting onto the unxnetwork.com, dropping down a little bit, put some information in. And for that, you get all kinds of stuff. I got to tell you about at least becoming a member. You can become, you can get these magazines. The magazine comes out monthly. I have several articles in several of the different magazines. Each one has a general topic, although all topics are checked into. This one on the left is I had an article about the haunted battleship North Carolina. And most recently, I've had this one about dolls. I wrote a long article about haunted dolls. And this month, I had the last call at the Devil's Diner. And you guys, I'm sure you know, I was on the first and subsequently many investigations of the old Tri-County truck stop outside of St. Louis, Missouri. The place was just insanely haunted. I had wrote articles about it, calling it the Devil's Diner, and it recently was hit by a F1E1, whatever, tornado. And the building, I don't think it can be saved. I don't think they're even going to try. It's a shame. The building was just a beautiful piece of 1950s retro work. It was just a beautiful old building, very, very haunted, hell of a great history. And I wrote the last article about the things we've done there. I'm going to be sorry to see that go, but that's what you get just for joining in. Plus, you get access to the blog, and the blog has been burning up lately, guys. I'm sure you've seen all the stuff going on with more Navy guys coming out talking about the UFOs, more cryptid, more Mothman sightings around Missouri for some reason. So you got that, and the newsletter that comes out God, I think that comes out almost on a daily basis. So, hey, what are you waiting for? Jump on unxnetwork.com, drop down on the first page, put your information in, and become a member. You can keep up with some of the stuff we're doing too. And I guess that's really about all we've got to do for today. It is about time for me to step along. So I want to remind you all, stay safe. It is getting to be summer out there. Stay cool. And I guess the most important of all, friends, is to stay spooked. Good night.